Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this time, we will presenting about chapter 40 about production cycle. The production cycle is a recurring set of business activities and related information processing operation associated with the manufacture of products. The revenue cycle information system provides the information, customer order and sales forecast used to plan production and inventory level. In return, the production cycle information system sends the revenue cycle information about finished goods that have been produced and are available for sale. Information about raw material needs is sent to the expenditure cycle information system in the form of purchase requisition. In exchange, the expenditure cycle system provides information about raw material acquisition and also about other expenditure included in manufacturing overhead. Information about labor needs is sent to the human resources cycle, which in the return provides data about labor cost and availability. Finally, information about the cost of goods manufactured is sent to general ledger and reporting information system. Figure 40 and 2 depict the four basic activities in the production cycle: product design, planning and scheduling, production operation, and cost accounting. Although accountants are involved primarily in the first step, cost accounting, they must understand the other three processes to be able to design reports that provide management with the information needed to manage the production cycle activities of a modern manufacturing company. Production cycle information system uh, like Figure 40 and 3 present the portion of the enterprise resource planning that support an organization production cycle. Production cycle information system activity. The production cycle information system integrates both operational and financial data from many sources. The engineering department is responsible for developing product specification. The bill of material file store information about product component, and the operation lists the file content information about how to manufacture each product. The sales department enters information about sales forecast and customer order. The production planning department uses that information plus data about current inventory level to develop the master production schedule and create new recap in the production order file to authorize the production of specific goods. Material requisitions are sent to the inventory store department to authorize the release of raw material. The production cycle activities depend on and update the integrated database that contains master data about product specification and inventory, both finished goods and raw material. The first step in the risk of inaccurate or invalid master data. The various processing integrity control can reduce the risk of inaccurate data entry. It's also important to restrict access to production cycle master data. Important to modify user permission to ensure that employees are assigned only those privileges necessary to perform their specified job duties and log of all activities, especially any action involving managerial approval, such as requests for additional raw material or overtime, should be recorded and maintained for later review as part of the audit trail. Another threat is the unauthorized disclosure of production information, such as trade secret and process information that provide a company with a competitive advantage. In addition, sensitive data such as the precise procedures to follow in manufacturing a given product should be encrypted while in storage and during transmission over the internet to manufacturing plant and business partner. The third channel is the loss or alteration of production data. Additional copies of key master files such as open production order and raw material inventory should be stored off-site to reduce the possibility of accidental accidental erasure of important files, all disks and tapes should have both external and internal file label. The first step in production cycle is product design. The objective is to create a product that meets customer requirements in terms of quality, durability, and functionality while simultaneously minimizing production costs. The product design activity creates two outputs. The first, a bill of material, specify the part number, description, and quantity of each component used in a finished product. The second is an operation list, which specifies the sequence of steps to follow in making the product, which equipment to use, and how long each step should take. The threat of product design. Poor product design drives up cost in several ways. Using too many unique components when producing similar products increases the cost associated with purchasing and maintaining raw materials inventory. It also often results in efficient production process because of excessive complex complexity in changing from the production of one product to another. Poorly designed products are also more likely to incur high warranty and repair costs. To mitigate this threat, accountants should participate in the product design activity because 65 to 80% of product costs are determined at this stage of the production process. Accountants can analyze how the use of alternative components and changes to the production process affect costs. In addition, accountants can use information from the revenue cycle about repair and warranty costs associated with existing products to identify the primary causes of the product failure and suggest opportunities to redesign products to improve quality. The second step in production cycle is planning and scheduling. The objective is to develop a production plan effective enough to meet existing orders and anticipate short-term demand while minimizing inventories of both raw material and finished goods. Production planning method. The common method of production planning are manufacturing resource planning and lean manufacturing. Manufacturing resource planning is an extension of material resource planning that seeks to balance existing product capacity and raw material need to meet forecast sales demand. MRP systems are often referred to as push manufacturing because goods are produced in expectation of customer demand. Lean manufacturing extends the principle of just-in-time inventory system to the entire product process. The goal of lean manufacturing is to minimize or eliminate inventories of raw material, work in process, and finished goods. Lean manufacturing is often referred to as full manufacturing because goods are produced a response to customer demand. Theo- theo- Theoretically, lean manufacturing systems produce only in response to customer order. In practice, however, most lean manufacturing systems develop short-run production plans. Key document and form information about customer orders, sales forecast, and inventory level of finished goods is used to determine production level. The result is a master production schedule which specifies how much of each product is to be produced during the planning period and when that production should occur. The planning and scheduling activity produce three other documents: production order, material requisition, and move ticket. A production order authorizes the manufacturing of a specified quantity of a particular product. It lists the operation that needs to be performed, the quantity to be produced, and the location where the finished product should be delivered. It also collects data about each of those activities. A material requisition authorizes the removal of necessary quantity of raw material from the store home to the factory location where they'll be used. This document contains the production order number, date of issue, and based on the bill of material, the part number and quantities of the all necessary raw material. Subsequent transfer of raw material throughout the factory are documented on move tickets which identify the part being transferred, the location to which they are transferred, and the time of transfer. Finally, accurate production planning requires integrating information about customer order from the revenue cycle with information about purchase from supplier from the expenditure cycle along with information about labor availability from the human resources and payroll cycle. Figure 40 and 10 illustrated how an ERP system provides this integration. The system first checks inventory on hand to determine how much needs to be produced to fill the new order. It then calculates labor needs and determines whether there is a need to schedule overtime or hire temporary help in order to meet the promised field data. At the same time, information in the bill of material is used to determine what components, if any, need to be ordered. Any necessary purchase orders are sent to supplier via electronic data interchange. The NPS is then adjusted to include the new order. Notice how this sharing of information across the revenue, production, and expenditure cycle in the manner just described enable companies to efficiently manage inventories by timing their purchase to meet actual customer demand. That the primary threat in the planning and scheduling activity is over and under production. Overproduction can result in a supply of goods in excess of short-run demand, thereby creating potential cash flow problems because resources are tied up in inventory. Overproduction also increases the risk of carrying inventory that become obsolete. Conversely, underproduction can result in lost sales and customer dissatisfaction because of lack of availability of desired items. These traits are especially important for companies that produce new, innovative products such as current fashion clothing, because the demand for such products is much more volatile than the demand for staples and commodities such as a food and office supplies. Production planning system can reduce the risk of over and underproduction. Improvement requires accurate and current sales forecast and data about inventory stock, information that the revenue and expenditure cycle system can provide. In addition to import forecast, information about production performance, particularly concerning time in total time to manufacture each product, should be regularly collected. Proper approval and authorization of production order is another control to prevent over or underproduction of specific items. Careful review and approval also ensure that the correct production orders are released. The risk of unauthorized production order can be reduced by restricting access to the production scheduling program. The third step in production cycle is the actual manufacture of product. The manner in which this activity is accomplished varies greatly across companies, different according to the type of product being manufactured and degree of automation used in the production process. Using various forms of information technology (IT) in the production process such as robot and computer-controlled machinery is referred as to computer-integrated manufacturing. Computer-integrated manufacturing, a manufacturing approach in which much of the manufacturing process is performed and monitored by computerized equipment, in part to in part to the use of robotic and real-time data collection of manufacturing activities. Computer-integrated manufacturing can significantly reduce production costs. Depth of inventories and fixed assets are major concerns. In addition to the loss of assets, that also results in overstated asset balance, which can lead on erroneous analysis of financial performance and underproduction. Poor performance is another threat to production operation. Another threat associated with production cycle activities is suboptimal investment in fixed assets. Over-investing in fixed assets can create excess costs. Under-investment can impair productivity. Another threat is that both inventories and fixed assets are subject to loss due to fire or other disaster. A related concern is disruption of production activities. The high level of automation in production cycle activities means that disaster. To reduce the risk of inventory loss, physical access to inventory should be restricted and all internal movement of inventory should be documented. Thus, material requisition should be used to authorize the release of raw material as to production. Both the inventory control clerk and the production employee receiving the raw materials should sign the requisition to acknowledge release of the good to production. Requests for additional material in excess of the amount specified in the bill of materials should be documented and authorized by supervisory personnel. Multi-cut should be used to document subsequent movement of inventory through various stages of the production process. The return of any material not used in production also should be documented. Proper segregation of duties is important to safeguard inventory. Maintaining physical custody of the raw material and finished good inventory is the responsibility of the inventory store department. Department or factory supervisor have primary responsibility for work in process inventories. The authorization function, represented by the preparation of production order, material requisition, and move ticket, is the responsibility of the production planner or increasingly of the production information system itself. Proper access control and compatibility tests are important to ensure that only authorized personnel have access to those records. Finally, an employee without any custodial responsibility should periodically count inventory on hand, and discrepancies between this physical count and recorded amount should be investigated. Similar controls are needed to safeguard fixed assets. First, all fixed assets must be identified and recorded too, so that manager can be assigned responsibility and accountability for fixed assets under the control. As with inventory, security measures should be in the place to control physical access to fixed assets. Because manufacturing machinery and equipment are often replaced before they are completely worn out, it is important to formally approve and accurately record their sale or disposal. Training is one way to mitigate this poor performance. It is also important to regularly prepare and review reports on performance in order to identify when additional training is needed. Thus, proper authorization of fixed asset transaction is important. A supervisor or manager who provides detail about expected cash flow and other costs and benefits of the proposal expenditure should first recommend large capital expenditure. Physical safeguards such as fire suppression systems are designed to prevent such disasters. However, because preventive control are never 100% effective, organizations also need to purchase adequate insurance to cover such losses and provide to replacement of those assets. Backup power sources such a generator, and an uninterruptible power supply device should be accurate to ensure that critical equipment and machinery is not damaged by sudden unexpected loss of power and that important production process can continue on schedule. Companies also need to investigate the disaster preparedness of key suppliers and identify alternative sources of for critical components. This is especially important for companies that practice lean manufacturing. They maintain low inventories of both raw material and finished goods, so any disruption to either their manufacturing activities or those of their supplies can quickly result in lost sales. The final step in production cycle is cost accounting. The three principal objectives of the cost accounting system are to provide information for planning, controlling, and evaluating the perform and production operation. Number two, to provide accurate cost data about product for use in pricing and product mix decision. Number three, to collect and process the information used to calculate the inventory and cost of goods sold values that appear in the company's financial statement. To successfully accomplish the first objective, the cost accounting system must be designed to collect real-time data about the performance of production activities so that management can make timely decisions. To accomplish the other two objectives, the cost accounting system must classify costs by various categories and then assign those costs to specific product and organizational units. This requires careful coding of cost data during collection because often the same cost may be allocated in multiple ways for several different purposes. Most companies use either job order in process costing to assign production costs. Job order costing assign costs to specific production batches of a job and is used when the product or saving being sold consists of distinctly identifiable items. In contrast, process costing assigns cost to each process or work center in the production cycle and they calculate the average cost for all units produced. Process costing is used when similar goods or services are produced in mass quantities and discrete units cannot be readily identified. The choice of job order or process costing affect only the method using to assign cost to product, not the method using to collect the data. Let us now examine how data about raw material use, labor hour expended, machine operational performed, and manufacturing overhead are collected. Raw material use data. When production is initiated, the insurance of a material requisition triggers a debit to work in process for the raw material sent to production. If additional material are needed, another debit is made to work in process. Conversely, work in process is credited to for any material not used and returned to inventory. Many raw materials are barcoded so that used data can be collected by scanning the product when released from or returned to inventory. Inventory clerk and factory work must use online terminal to enter usage data for such item. Direct labor cost. In the past, manufacturers used a paper document called a job time ticket to collect data about labor activity. This document recorded the amount of time or work spent of each specific job task. Now, workers enter this data using online terminal at each factory workstation. To further improve the efficiency of this process, manufacturers is considering switching to coded identification card, which worker would run to a batch reader or barcode scanner with the start and finish any task. The time saving associated with using barcoding to automate data collection can be significant. Machinery and equipment usage. As a company's implement to automate the production process, an ever larger proportion of product costs related to machinery and equipment used to make the product. Data about machinery and equipment usage are collected at each step in the production process, often in conjunction with data about labor costs. Manufacturing overhead costs. Manufacturing costs that are not economically feasible to trace directly to specific job or process are considered manufacturing overhead. Examples include the cost of water, power, and other utilities, miscellaneous suppliers, rent, insurance, and property tax for the factory plant, and the salaries of factory supervisor. Most of these costs are collected by the expenditure cycle information system, with the exception of supervisory salaries, which are processed by the human resources cycle information system. The threat of cost accounting. Inaccurate cost data can diminish the effectiveness of production scheduling and undermine management's ability to monitor and control manufacturing operations. Error in inventory record can lead to either over and underproduction of goods. Overstate fixed assets increase expenditure, extra depreciation, and higher property tax. Understated fixed assets also can cause problems. For example, inaccurate count of the number of personal computers in can use can cause a company to unknowingly violate the software license requirement. Inaccuracies in financial statements and managerial reports can distort analysis of past performance and the desirability of future investment of change of in operation. Accurate cost data are not sufficient, however. Poorly designed cost accounting system will allocate cost to product and produce misleading report about production cycle activities, both of which can lead to erroneous decision and frustration. The best control procedure to ensure that the data entry is accurate is to automate data collection using RFID technology, barcode scanner, batch reader, and other devices. When this is not feasible, online terminals should be used for data entry and should employ the various data entry edit counter. For example, check digit and close-loop verification should be used to ensure that information about the raw material used, operation performed, and employee number is entered correctly. Validity checks, such as comparing part number of raw material for those listed in the bill of material file, provide further assurance of accurate. Finally, to verify the accuracy of database record, periodic physical count of inventory and fixed assets should be made and compared with recording quantities. The following two subsections explain how activity-based costing system and innovative performance metric can mitigate this problem. Improve, improve control with activity-based costing system. Activity-based costing can refine and improve cost allocation under both job order and process cost system. In it attempts to trace costs to the activities that create them, such as grading or policing, and only subsequently allocated those costs of product or department. An underlying objective of activity-based costing is to link cost to corporate strategy. Corporate strategy results in decisions about what goods and service to produce. Activity must be performed to produce these goods and service, which in turn incur costs. Those corporate strategy determine cost. Consequently, by measuring the cost of basic activities such as material handling or processing purchase order, activity-based costing provides information to management for evaluating the consequences of strategic decisions. Activity-based costing system differ from conventional cost accounting system in three important ways. Number one, activity-based cost system attempt to directly trace a larger proportion of overhead costs to product. Number two, activity-based cost system attempt to rationalize the allocation of overhead to product by identifying cost driver. The last, activity-based cost system use a greater number of cost pool to accumulate indirect costs. Whereas most traditional cost systems lump all overhead costs together, activity-based costing system distinguishes three separate categories of overhead: batch-related overhead, product-related overhead, company-wide overhead. Improve cost management. Traditional cost systems tend to apply too much overhead to some product and too little to other because too few cost pools are used. This leads to two types of problems. First, companies may accept sales contract for some product at price below their true cost of production. Second, companies may overprice other products, thereby inviting new competitors to enter the market. Activity-based costing also makes better use of production data to improve product design. For example, the cost associated with processing purchase order can be used to calculate the purchasing-related overhead associated with each component used in a finished product. Engineering can use this information along with data on relative usage to components across products to identify unique components that could be replaced by lower cost, more commonly used parts. Improve control with innovative performance metrics. Modern approach to production such as lean manufacturing differs significantly from traditional mass production. One major difference is a marked reduction in inventory level of finished goods because production is scheduled in response to customer demand instead of projection based on prior years. Although it is beneficial in the long run, it often creates a short-term decline in reported profitability. The reason, traditional financial accounting treats inventory as an asset. Thus, the cost of producing inventory are not recognized until the products are sold. To address the problem, GPs who work for and with companies that have adopted lean manufacturing techniques advocate supplementing traditional financial reports based on GAAP with additional reports based on lean accounting principle. One suggested change involves assigning cost to product lines instead of departments. Quality control measure. Information about quality costs can help companies determine the effect of action taken to improve yield and identify areas for further improvement. Quality control costs can be divided into four areas. Number one, prevention costs are associated with changes to production process designed to reduce the product defect rate. Inspection costs are associated with testing to ensure that product meet quality standard. Internal failure costs are associated with reworking or scrapping production identified as being defective prior to sale. And the last, external failure costs when Fi- external failure costs result when defective products are sold to customers. Conclusion. The production cycle consists of four basic activities: product design, production planning and scheduling, production operation, and cost accounting. Companies are continually investing in IT to improve the efficiency on the first three activities. However, for a business to reap the full benefit of these changes, corresponding modification must also be made to the cost accounting system. In addition, accountants need to modify financial reports and develop new measures that more accurately reflect and measure manufacturing performance. Thank you for your attention. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, hello everyone. Today, we're presenting about the human resource management and payroll cycle. The human resource management or payroll cycle is a recurring set of business activities and related data processing operation associated with effectively managing the employee workforce. The more important tasks include the following. First, recruiting and hiring new employees. Second, training, job assignment, compensation, performance evaluation, and discharge of employees due to voluntary or involuntary termination. Human Resource and Payroll Cycle Information System. The figure 52, despite the portion of an ERP system that support the human resource management and payroll cycle. The human resource management related activities, information about hiring, firing, transfer, training, and etc. And the collection of information about the use of employee time occur daily. The actual processing of payroll, however, occurs only periodically because in most organizations employees are paid on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis rather than every day. Thus payroll is one application that continues to be processed in batch model. Overview of human resource management process and information needs. Organization success depends on skilled and motivated employees because their knowledge and skill affect the quality of the good service provided to customers. Indeed, in professional service organizations, such as accounting law firms, employees' knowledge and skill are the principal component of company's product, and labor costs represent the major expense incurred in generating revenues. Even in manufacturing firms, where direct labor costs represent only a fraction of total direct costs, employees are key cost driver in that the quality of their work affects both overall productivity and product defect rates. To effectively, to effectively utilize the organization employees, the human resource management and payroll system must collect and store the information manager need to answer the following kind of question. First, how many employees does the organization need to accomplish its strategic plans? Second, which employees possess specific skills? Third, which skills are in short supply? Which skills are in oversupply? Four, how effective are current training programs in maintaining and improving employee skill levels? Five, is overall performance improving or declining? And the last is, are there problems with turnover, tardiness, or absenteeism? This is the portion of ERP system that support human resource management and payroll. Figure 50.2. Overview of human resource management process and information needs. The human resource management and payroll master database, figure 50.2, provides some of the information needed to answer this question. However, it typically contains only descriptive information, such as which employees possess which skill and who has attended various training programs. Although such information enables manager to make staffing related decisions, it doesn't help reference the specific knowledge and expertise possessed by its employees. To more effectively use employees' knowledge and skill, many organizations have invested in knowledge management system. Knowledge management system not only serve as a directory identifying the areas of expertise possessed by individual employees, but also capture and store that knowledge so that it can be shared and used by others. Knowledge management system can significantly improve productivity. Threats and controls. Figure 15.2 show that all human resource management or payroll cycle activities depend on the integrated database that contain information about employees, payroll, and use of employee time. Therefore, the first general threat list on table 50.1 is inaccurate or invalid master data. Inaccurate employee master data could result in over or understaffing. It can also create inefficiencies due to assigning employees to perform tasks for which they are not fully qualified. Inaccurate payroll master data that result in errors in paying employees can create significant moral issues. In addition, the organization may incur fines or for error made in paying payroll taxes. Error in data about use of employee time can result in inaccurate performance evaluation and mistake in calculating the cost of the organization, product, and service. One way to mitigate the threat of inaccurate or invalid master data is to use the various processing integrity control discussed in chapter time to minimize the risk of data error. It is also important to restrict access that to that data to the data and configure the system so that only authorized employees can make changes to master data. This requires changing to default the configuration of employee roles in ERP system to appropriately secret completable data. So, however, since such preventive control can never be 100% effective, Table 15.1 also indicates that an important detective control is to regularly produce a report of all changes to master data, review them to verify that the data remains accurate. This is table 50.1, threats and control in the payroll human resource management cycle. So the threat and control. A second general threat in human resource management or payroll cycle is unauthorized disclosure of sensitive information, such as salary and performance evaluation for individual employees. A third general threat in the human resource management on payroll cycle concerns the loss of or destruction of master data. So the best way to mitigate the risk of this threat is to employ the backup and disaster recovery procedures that were discussed in chapter 10. A fourth general threat in human resource management on payroll cycle is hiring unqualified or licensed employees. Hiring unqualified employees can increase production expense, and hiring a licensed employee can result in the theft or of asset. Both problems are best dealt with by appropriate hiring procedure. To reduce the risk of hiring listener employees, organizations should hire a professional firm to perform thorough background check of all applicants for positions that involve access to financial data and assets, to identify applicants with a prior criminal record. The fifth general threat in the human resource management payroll cycle is violation of applicable laws and regulations concerning the proper hiring and dismissal of employees. The government imposes stiff penalties on firms that violate provisions of employment law. In addition, organizations can also be subject to civil suit by alleged victims of employee discrimination. Level 5.1 shows that the best control procedure to mitigate this potential problem is to carefully document all actions relating to advertising for, recruiting, and hiring new employees to the dismissal of employees control. This is demonstrated complicated with the applicable government regulation. Continue training control 5.2, keep current with complement law is important. Figure 50.3 present a content diagram of the payroll system. It shows that there are 5 major sources of input to the payroll system. Figure 50.3 shows that checks which may electronic are the payroll system principal output. Employees receive individual paycheck in compensation for their service. Figure 50.4 shows the basic activities performed in the payroll cycle. We now discuss each of these activities. For each activities, we describe how the information needed to perform and manage the activity is collected, processed, and stored. So we also explain the control necessary to ensure not only the reliability of the information, but also the safeguarding of the organization resources. This is the context diagram of the payroll portion of the human resource management or payroll cycle. Update payroll master database. The first activity in human resource management or payroll cycle involves updating the payroll master database to reflect various types of internal initiate change. New hires termination change in pay rates or change in discretionary withholding circle 10 in figure 50.4. In addition, periodically, the master data needs to be updated to reflect change in tax rates and deduction for insurance. This is the level 0 data flow diagram for the payroll cycle. The second step in payroll cycle is to validate each employee's time and attendance data. The process is how employee time and attendance data is collected differ depending on the employee's pay status. For employees paid on an hourly basis, many companies use a time card to record the employee's daily arrival and departure times. Employee who earn a fixed salary, for example, manager and professional staff, seldom record their labor effort on time card. Instead, their supervisor informally monitor their presence on the job. So threat and controls, the main threat to this payroll activity is inaccurate time and attendance data. Inaccuracies in time and attendance record can result in increased labor expenses and erroneous labor expense reports. Moreover, inaccuracies can either hurt employee morale if paychecks are incorrect or missing, or result in payment for labor service not rendered. So this is the example of data entry screen track time. Yeah, you can see on the slide. So this is the third step in payroll cycle is preparing payroll. This is the example of supervisory approval of time work screen. So the supervisor review each entry and checks approve to authorize pays. The prepare payroll. This is the flowchart of payroll batch processing. Okay. Prepare payroll. So the process in figure 50.7 shows that the sequence of activities in processing payroll. First, payroll transaction data is added and the validated transactions are then sorted by employee number. If the organization is processing payroll from several divisions, each of these payroll transaction files must also be merged. Next, all payroll deductions are summed and the total is subtracted from gross pay to obtain net pay. Payroll deduction fall into two broad categories: payroll tax without holding and voluntary deductions. The former includes federal, state, and local income taxes, as well as social security taxes. Voluntary deduction include contributions to a pension plan, premium for group life, health and disability insurance, union dues, and contribution to various charities. This is the figure 15.8. Example of payroll and deduction registers. The first one is payroll register, and the second one is deduction register. Okay. Once net pay is calculated, the year-to-date fields for gross pay, deduction, and net pay in each employee's record in the payroll master file are updated. Maintaining accurate cumulative earning records is important for two reasons. Next, the payroll and deduction register are created. The payroll register lists its employees' gross pay, payroll deduction, and net pay in multi-column format. It is also served as the supporting documentation to authorize the transferring funds to the organization payroll checking account. The deduction register lists the miscellaneous voluntary deduction for each employee. Figure 15.8 represents example of these two reports. So the finally the system prints employee paycheck or facsimiles in the case of direct deposits. The threat and control, the complexity of payroll processing, especially the various tax law requirements, make it susceptible to error. Threat 9 in the table 50.1. The error obviously can hurt employee morale, particularly if paychecks are late. So this is the table 50.2. This content and purpose of commonly generate human resource management and payroll report. The table 50.1 lists three types of data processing integrity control that can mitigate the threat of payroll error. First, batch total. Even advanced human resource management or payroll system will continue to use batch processing for payroll. Second, cross-floating the payroll register. The total of the net pay columns should equal the total of gross pay less total deduction. If it doesn't, an error occurred in processing that needs to be promptly investigated and corrected. Third, a payroll clearing account. The payroll clearing account is a general ledger account that is used in a two-step process to check the accuracy and completeness of recording payroll costs and their subsequent allocation to appropriate cost centers. Disburse payroll. The next step is the actual disbursement of paycheck to employees. Circle 4 in figure 50.4. The most employees are paid either by check or by direct deposit of the net amount into their personal bank account. A net cash payment, both methods provide a means to document the amount of wages paid. The process is after paycheck have been prepared, account payable review and approve the payroll register. A disbursement voucher is then prepared to authorize the transfer of funds from company's general checking account to Iris payroll bank account. The disbursement voucher is then used to update the general ledger. Threats and control, as table 50.1 indicates, another major threat in the payroll process is the theft of paycheck of the insurance of paycheck fictitious or terminate employees. This can result in increased expense of the loss of cash. Applying to payroll the control related to other cash disbursement discussed in chapter 13 can mitigate this threat specifically. First, access to bank payroll, check the signature machine should be restricted. Similarly, ability to authorize EFT transactions should be restricted and controlled through the use of strong multi-factor authentication. All payroll checks should be sequentially pre-numbered and periodically accounted for. Control 10.3. If payroll is made via direct deposit, all EFT in transaction should be reviewed. The cashier should the cashier should sign excuse me. Okay. The cashier should sign all the payroll check only when supported by proper documentation. Calculate and disperse employee paid benefit taxes and voluntary employee deduction. The final payroll activity is to calculate and remit payroll taxes and employee benefit to the appropriate government or other entity. First, process employee must pay social security taxes in addition to the amount withheld from employee paychecks. Treat and control. The primary threat in this activity are failing to make the necessary remittances, untimely remittances, or error in those remittances. This problem can result in fines from government agencies and employee complaints if their error adversely affect their retirement of other benefits. Outsourcing option, payroll service bureaus and professional employer organization. Okay. In an effort to reduce costs, many organizations are outsourcing their payroll and human resource management function to payroll service bureaus and professional employers organization. A payroll service bureau maintains the payroll master data for each of its clients and process payroll for them. A professional employer organization not only process payroll but also provides human resource management service as an employee benefit design and administration. Because they provide a narrower range of service, payroll service bureaus are generally less expensive than PEOs. When organizations outsource payroll processing, they send time and attendance data along with information about personnel change to the payroll service bureau of PEO at the end of each pay period. The payroll service bureau of PEO then uses that data to prepare employee paychecks, periodically produce employee with due forms, and other tax-related reports. Payroll Service Bureau and PEO are especially attractive to small and mid-sized business for the following reasons. First, reduced costs. Second, wider range of benefits. The last is freeing up of computer resources. However, companies need to carefully monitor service quality to ensure that the outsourcing system effectively integrates the human resource management and payroll data in a manner that support effective management of employee. So the summary and case conclusion is the human resource management or payroll cycle information system consists of two related but separate subsystems. The human resource management and payroll system record and process data about the activity of recruiting, hiring, training, assigning, evaluating, and discharging employees. The payroll system record and processes data used to pay employees for their service. And the human resource management and payroll system must be designed to comply with a myriad of government regulations related to both taxes and employment practices. In addition, adequate control must exist to prevent, first, overpaying employees to two invalid overstay time and attendance data. And the second is disbursing check to fictitious employees. This two threat can be best minimized by proper segregation of data, especially specifically by two threats can be best minimized by proper segregation of data, especially by having the following function performed by different individuals. First, authorizing and making changes to the payroll master file for such events as hiring, firing, and pay raises. Second, recording and verifying time worked by employees. Third, preparing paychecks. Four, distributing paycheck. Five, reconciling the payroll bank account. So that's all the presentation, and thank you for the time.